Look at this dude.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hey man, if you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, smash the like button, click that bell while you're at it, so you can be a part of the Post Noti Gang family, best family on YouTube. That's no cap, hands down. Hey man, we are here for Dylan Page. Nelk boys are losing fans fast after this podcast. So I don't know what's going on. I am a fan of the Nelk boys. I haven't watched any recent videos though, so I don't know if they're just not uploading videos currently. I know they sometimes take breaks, but I am a fan of the Nelk boys. I like the Nelk boys. They're crazy, obviously, party goer, party animal. Like, I could never live that lifestyle, but I like to watch it. Hey man, we're gonna do less talking, more reacting. Let's dive right into this video. Let's go.
Okay guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not expect to see you today. We were gonna skip Biwa Wednesday, and it's Hell Week for the Empire. But Netanyahu just had to go ahead and do his first podcast. And the thing that's crazy about this situation, which is making it blow up across the internet, is that it wasn't with exactly who you'd expect. It was with the Nelk boys. Now most of you will already know who they are. They're massive on YouTube, but for those of you who don't, they essentially made their come up doing public pranks. But they didn't stay there. They kept on evolving their content, and now not only do they do videos like taking 5 virgins to a college party, we corrupted an Amish person, and Andrew Tate stole our girl at a club, but they also have their own podcast, Full Send Podcast, and they've interviewed all sorts of people, from Donald Trump during
the Nelk boys have some big ass connects, bro.
Election that was major, to people like Elon Musk, and then of course the Mr. Beast, the Andrew Tates, and so on. And to be fair, like, I've watched many of these. I've enjoyed their podcasts. I enjoy a lot of their content, and there's always been somewhat of a consistent criticism of them not asking good questions, especially when it comes to very intelligent people like Elon Musk, who you want a very intelligent conversation to listen to.
Makes sense.
It's never caused any major problems. It's always just been like, they don't answer these questions, but whatever, it's a joke. And perhaps that's why they thought their most recent guest, Benjamin Netanyahu, would...
I'm not, to be honest, I'm gonna be straight up. Maybe I'm stupid or don't keep up with the news, but I don't know who this is. So if you guys know who this is, let me know in the comments.
Go down somewhat similar. But, oh my lord, it absolutely didn't. In fact, the backlash from this episode is bigger than the episode itself. Some of the top comments on this video: I miss when YouTube used to show dislikes. This was pitched to Netanyahu like this: don't worry, these guys are idiots. You can use their platform to push whatever propaganda you want, and they won't push back on anything. Unsubscribed. In fact, that last comment wasn't just someone saying something. They have actually lost tens of thousands of followers since posting this video. And
damn, what happened? What's the controversy?
To be fair, going into this podcast, they themselves said jokingly, almost like as a disclaimer at the start, this could be controversial, we could get cancelled, but I don't really think they thought for a single second it was going to be as bad as it actually is now. Since they were laughing about it in that episode, now their entire demeanor has changed. And I think the seriousness of what they've just done has hit them like a load of bricks.
Someone said having Netanyahu on is like having modern day Hitler, which is, honestly guys, I'll be...
Oh, so essentially this guy is not a good person. Okay. So, okay. So I'm starting to get what's going on, but like I said, I didn't know who that guy is. Obviously, he looks like a very important person in a different country.
I'll be honest, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's bad. So let's run through what happened, what people are saying, and my thoughts too. So let's stop the yapping and let's get
Modern day Hitler edition.
Okay, I want to start by stating the obvious. There is nothing wrong with interviewing people like Netanyahu. Legacy outlets like CNN, BBC, Reuters, they do it all the time at conferences when he's in the US. And you don't see them getting cancelled. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. There's nuance, because there's a big difference between interviewing someone like a...
Hopefully this video explains more in regards of why this individual is a bad person. If not, like I said, leave comments down below to educate me on what's going on, because like I said, I don't know this person. I haven't seen anything on the news or articles, so like I said, maybe I'm slow, I don't know.
a YouTuber like Mr. Beast than a world leader. Politicians and world leaders literally spend years doing media training. They've been preparing for these exact moments, what to say perfectly right, how to deflect and talk in circles so that you don't have to answer tough questions, what to do when you get backed into a corner. They've been hustling, they know what to do, which is why the journalists who usually do these types of interviews spend years learning the skills on how to combat this. Because if you don't, interviews with world leaders and politicians can very quickly just turn into straight up propaganda. And Kyle and Steiny, I mean, at the very beginning of the show, like a disclaimer, they say,
We are so not qualified to do this. We just should not be doing this.
but despite knowing this and saying it publicly, they still do the interview because they say it's too big of an opportunity to pass up. And that's the thing, I think they're finding out today that not all opportunities are good opportunities. Because a person like Netanyahu can't simply be used as an opportunity for brand recognition, money, or views. He's not just a controversial figure like maybe ones that they've interviewed in the past. This is a man who is the head of a military who human rights groups and other organizations claim is currently carrying out genocide and ethnic cleansing. He is currently wanted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Now, fair enough, you can have him on and discuss with him the legitimacy.
Bro, why would you even be around this person, bro? That's some, what?
Of those claims or his perspective on them, but in essence, there's probably not a single person alive today that would require a more serious and more prepared conversation than Netanyahu. And based on what we saw, it simply wasn't that. In fact, I actually think it goes a step further. I think the very fact that they decided to go ahead with this interview shows how little they actually understand and know about the situation and what's going on.
What's going on here?
Because I truly think that if they did know what was going on, or if they did any deep research into the matter, I don't see how they would have come to the conclusion that this was still a...
Well, the fact that they knew this was a risky move by having him on the podcast, they obviously had some sort of knowledge on what's going on, but maybe not to the full extent. But obviously, if they knew that this was going to be controversial, they knew what was going on. You feel me?
A good opportunity for them and their brand. Or at the very least, I think they would have come way more prepared than they actually did. And also, one of the biggest things that people were criticizing about this interview was the multiple claims made by Netanyahu that was false, but because they didn't have the knowledge, many of these claims went unchecked. Like, for example, at 7 minutes 30, he's asked about how he feels about America's view on Israel, which he responds saying,
I think the broad segments of the American public support Israel.
and I mean, it takes just like 10 minutes of research to find that, according to the latest Pew research, which is pretty credible, the majority of Americans now express somewhat or very unfavorable opinions of Israel. Not the broad swaths that support Israel like he said. In fact, there's one portion of very...
So he's he's a powerful man in Israel, from what it sounds like. And this guy said that Americans are majority supporting or whatever, but according to this article, 53%, which is more, majority are not in favor of him. Okay. Kind of putting the puzzle pieces together, y'all.
very unfavorable views of Israel since 2022 alone has doubled. And I mean, it gets even worse when you start to consider the youth in America. That perspective skews even further. And that is exactly why he says this.
But I'm concerned that the young people in America, some of them are getting the wrong picture of Israel, vilification, demonization. I'm doing this podcast, among other things, to reach young people.
Of course.
And again, that's why it's so important to be able to be prepared for this, because otherwise, that's your audience that he is trying to reach. And not just reach, but inform. It's as if he saw how successful Trump's media strategy was in 2024, and he's like, all right, he reached the young, the youth, let's do the same. And again, this doesn't mean don't...
Now that you think about it, that probably, like, it's, for one, that's a very good finesse in regards of, I wouldn't say stooping down, but more so be more relatable to the youth, to the younger audience, like myself and stuff in that nature. So, like, okay, so I think So Trump doing that, because I remember when the Nelk boys first got around Trump, it was like a big deal. Like, damn, y'all are friends with the president? That's crazy. But it's almost like Trump used them because he knew that the Nelk boys had a large younger audience. You feel me? And then obviously Donald Trump also had that tactic of being on the good side of black people by what did he do? Got Lil Wayne out of jail, got Kodak Black out of jail. He did a lot of things to try to become more connected to the black community. You feel me? Like,
the interview, it just means show up prepared. I mean, one of the biggest claims that went unresponded to was when Kyle asked Netanyahu, what about the accusations of Israel cutting off aid and using starvation as a war tactic? To which he responds,
because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens when we let them in? Hamas steals the food, takes the good chunk for itself. They jack up the prices, and then they sell the food to its hungry population, if they give them it all, and then use the money that they take from their own people to recruit more killers into their terror machine. That's what happens.
And here's the thing, while there may be true cases for what he said there, it runs contrary to what literally over 100 NGOs have said currently. Just yesterday, over 100 NGOs, non-government organizations, issued a joint statement, and they said that mass starvation is spreading across Gaza because, and you want to strap...
Damn, I did not know all that was going on, bro. I need to start doing better in regards of keeping up with the news and the media and stuff like that. I do admit I don't keep up with the news, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I've been into this one. I'll just read it to you word for word. Currently, we're hearing from the UN that its key problem is that it's struggling to get commitments, and they're talking about aid programs, struggling to get commitment from the IDF that desperate Palestinians will not be killed while getting life-saving aid. Each time their teams try to collect aid from crossings, UN workers say civilians approach their lorries which come under fire. And this isn't just the NGOs that are saying this. This is also world governments. Just yesterday, 28 countries issued a joint statement as well condemning Israel, and this was signed by the EU and other countries that were inside this joint statement with the likes of France, Canada, Australia, the UK, etc. And they specifically condemned the, quote, horrifying killings of hundreds of Palestinians, and they say it's about 800, while they were attempting to get food from...
So they're just getting killed off. That's crazy, bruh.
Israel's aid operations. In fact, experts are currently warning that 1.5 million people in Gaza are now at risk of severe malnutrition or starvation. That's roughly 70% of the population of Gaza. Bro, and then in the same conversation, read this comment, asking him if he prefers Burger King or McDonald's while people are starving. This is insane.
You know what the first thing we did? McDonald's. And to be honest, Burger King. I like Burger King more.
Burger King kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I can see why this got controversial for sure. I could definitely see why. That's crazy.
The BK Lounge can hit.
I disagree completely.
You like Burger King over McDonald's?
That's your worst take, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't like Burger King. That's my opinion. I like McDonald's way better.
That's a crazy take.
No, that was fine. I mean, I like Burger King.
I don't know why I'm feeding into this podcast like that, but yeah, for my input though.
And the answer is yes.
Now, they have done a bunch of follow-up interviews post their Netanyahu one, and all of them pretty much said the same thing. They rinsed them on how they carried this out. And to be fair, they actually themselves admitted all of the things that I'm saying in this video too. I guess in an effort to make up for this one, they said that in their next episode, they're gonna have someone with a complete opposite view as Netanyahu. But the problem with that is that who's to say that everyone who watched the first interview is gonna watch the second one, which is kind of why it needs to be done in real time. And another thing that took me out in this video was that, you know, they're talking about starvation, tragedy, death, and then just suddenly it cuts to...
Alright guys, we're gonna interrupt really quick. I want to let you guys know about MoonPay.
a MoonPay ad about crypto. Like, God.
I ain't gonna lie, that's a bad look for the Nelk boys. I can see why people was trying to cancel them. I don't think the Nelk boys are gonna get canceled anytime soon. in my opinion, because the Nelk army is pretty strong.
Anyhow, now there are many other things that I want to say on this, but I'm trying to keep it as short as possible because Alex, the editor, he's not here. But I want to bring it to our news space as content creators, because I think this interview has lost us so much credibility. Bro, you don't understand. When I first started covering news and stuff on TikTok, I would get slammed constantly by legacy media saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this." But that doesn't really happen so much anymore, because I think most of them have realized now that certain content creators, unqualified journalists, do have the ability to cover serious topics in a competent, reliable, and factual way. But Nelk coming through and doing this didn't just affect their brand. I think it affects the entire space of news content creators trying to be taken seriously in situations like this.
So the Nelk boys kind of ruined it for all the other people that do podcasts and stuff in that nature.
Yes. I mean, it almost reminds me of the whole Katy Perry astronaut situation, because so many women after that said that it actually made a mockery of the feminist cause, because there were so many qualified female astronauts that could have been part of that mission. But now, thanks to the way they framed the whole situation, the first ever
I didn't know anything about this either. Yeah, I need to stop living under a rock, bro.
all-female crew sent into space will be remembered as a meme. And this is how that feels. The first time you get a huge ass interview like that from a genuine, natural born YouTuber creator group, and it goes like this. Bro, they even said that one day their dream guest is
Kim Jong-un.
I mean, to be fair, if Kim Jong-un watches this, he might be like, damn, actually, that's a pretty good podcast to go on. Netanyahu had a great time. Anyway, enough yap from me. I want to know what you guys think. I mean, if the interview's like to dislike ratio is anything as a signal, I imagine it's going to be pretty cooked. But I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments anyway.
Damn, that's crazy. Like I said, educate me, y'all, in the comment section. Leave comments if you guys have any knowledge on what's going on with that dude and overseas in Israel, etc. Like I said, I need to stop living under a rock at the end of the day. But anyways, if you guys made it to the end, I greatly appreciate it. Smash the like button, leave a comment, click that bell while you're at it. And until next time, I'm going to see y'all next time. I'm out.